Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name's Diallo from Detroit. I've been a wedding professional for over 19 years and counting, and today we're going to talk about my personal tips to help you find the wedding photographer of your dreams. Let's get right in. Alright, tip number one. I know this sounds obvious, but ask to see example work. Most photographers will have at least 5 to 10 really amazing photos that sometimes your emotions can just get caught up. You'll see those photos, oh my gosh, I have to have you. But what I personally think you should do, ask for a gallery, ask for a full day's work. Personally, I like to show multiple galleries to clients, and there's many reasons behind that, but we'll get into that at another time. Tip number two, do not be afraid to ask questions. Communication leads to everyone's happiness. The more questions that you ask, you're not supposed to know everything. You're not supposed to understand every term, and you're not a professional photographer. This is why you're hiring a professional to shoot your event. So don't be afraid to ask questions. We like questions, at least me personally, I can speak for myself. The more questions you ask me, the better, because then it lets me know more about you. It lets me know where your mindset is, so that if you understand certain concepts, I don't have to explain them to you. I don't have to explain, hey, if there's off-camera flash here and you're standing here and your face is going this direction, half of your face is going, I don't have to say that stuff. The more you educate yourself and the more that we talk about things, the better that your photos are going to turn out in the end. So that's tip number two. Don't be afraid to communicate. Tip number three is ask what is included. Furthermore, ask who will be your photographer, and most likely, most photographers shoot with a second. Now let's talk about what a second photographer is and is not. A second photographer is not somebody who is picking up a camera for the first time and turning it on auto and pointing and shooting. A second photographer should be somebody who is also a professional, who is trained to do the same equal or better job. I repeat, equal or better job than the lead photographer. I don't even like using that term, to be honest. I think that both photographers there, even though they might vary in style and the way that they shoot in some capacity, they should still have a skill set at a certain level to be able to handle your day if something were to go wrong. For example, if one person, let's say, got into a car accident or something happened, got struck by lightning, family emergency, something really severe that happened, and they could not attend your event, what are you gonna do? Well, that's what the second photographer is for. Furthermore, that second should even have a backup. So there really should be a third on standby, if that makes sense. So when it comes down to it, ask what is included, ask who your second photographer will be, and this just makes things so much easier in the long run. Is an album included? Is this something extra? Do I get a digital gallery online? For example, I send all of my clients access to their digital, all their pictures in a beautiful digital gallery that's password protected, and furthermore, the collection can be password protected. Some people are very private, and I respect that. So I won't even let others access the collection unless they have a password. And then if you want to download the photos, I only send that password to the couples so that they can send that password to their family or whoever they want to give access to download their photos. So there's a lot that can be or cannot be included. So make sure to ask and get this in writing on your contract. It's very important. So I just want to share a quick story. This relates back to knowing who your photographer is going to be and who they're bringing with them. I was a guest at a wedding several years ago, and I'm somebody who talks to people a lot. I talk to people a lot. I just like conversation for whatever reason. Sometimes I talk maybe too much, but anyway, I ended up having a conversation with one of the photographers at this wedding, as vendors do. Oh yeah, you're in the industry too, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And this photographer felt very comfortable to tell me that the second shooter that was with her that day was just her friend who had no photography experience. She gave her friend one of her cameras, set it on auto, and told her to act like a photographer and to just take pictures at random. So I'll never forget that day because it really just like it just did something in my mind. I was blown away that in this industry here in Michigan that can happen. And I immediately thought, wow, like does the client know that this is happening? Are they cool with this? Probably not. It wasn't my place. I just stayed out of it. But long story short, know who your shooters are going to be and make sure you have some type of real backup. It's the same across the board, whether it's video, whether it's a DJ, make sure you have some type of backup plan. All right, tip number 4 is talk to your partner about the level of involvement that you would like your photographer to have. Involvement meaning, do you want your photographer, for example, to constantly be posing you in every photo? Do you want your photographer to just kind of lurk in the shadows and still get the shots, but maybe act like they're not I'm not gonna call it center of attention, but they don't need to get involved as much, right? Different people have different comfort levels with that. I've had many couples that have said, we don't want to be the center of attention, or we don't want to be in the spotlight, or I've had others say, we are very shy, we need constant direction, we just want you to pose us and tell us where to go, where to hold our hands, etc. And we trust you, and I think that's great. So I said, all right, I got you, let's go. Communicate with your partner on the level of involvement that you want your photographer to have. And this is very important because there are a lot of photographers out there that shoot a style of photography where they want to be in the background. They want to have a long lens and they want to shoot you from distance and they don't want to be posing you. And usually I think couples kind of ask for a happy medium, I guess, in between. Of course you want your family photos and your couple portraits to be posed, and you want a professional to help you pose to get the best photos. However, when it comes to other shots, maybe you want those to just happen naturally, such as, some of the getting ready photos. For example, one of my brides, I remember she had champagne and she had some really nice robes with all of her girls, and I posed a few photos of them on a bed, and then I said, you know what? I want you to open that and I want you all to just do your thing. They opened it, or they shook it up, they opened it, they're smiling, they're laughing, and we caught some really beautiful real shots. It just depends on the person, your comfort level, and once again, communication with your photographer. Tip number 5 is do not write off a photographer based on sticker price. If you receive a quote from a photographer and they are, let's say, like $1,000 more than you expected, don't just scratch that off. If they're $5,000 more than what you had budgeted for, then I understand. Everybody has a budget and you have to be realistic. However, you will be surprised if you try this little exercise that I have to offer you right now. This is just a tip that I've developed and thought of over the years. I've shared it with a few couples and they've done it and it's worked for them. So here it goes. What I recommend is write down on a piece of paper together with your partner, write down all of these services, anything that basically costs money for your wedding day that you're planning. So whether you are getting a photo booth, a videographer, a photographer, a DJ, a wedding coordinator, a planner, centerpieces, flowers, etc., write them all down. And I want you, don't even think about price right now. I want you to now make a duplicate of that list. Then I want you to go into a separate room from your partner, and I want you to both rank from most important to least important every service. From there, I want you to compare lists, and I bet you would be surprised. There are a lot of people out there that say, oh, I don't care about photography, or I don't care about DJ, or I don't care. Everybody cares to a certain point. Some might show a few less emotion than others, but if you do this little exercise, you might find some stuff out. And say that you both come back, and both of you have photography at the top of the list. But let's say photo booth, for example, is at the bottom of the list. then what I would recommend is talking with your partner. Hey, maybe since photography is something that's so important, or video or DJ or whatever your most, I would say your top 3 things, allocate your money towards those, right? And it kind of makes sense, but until you think about this exercise, sometimes you might just get that sticker shock and write somebody off who maybe is the wedding photographer of your dreams. And that's what this video is all about, finding that person that's the right fit for you. Once again, let's talk about the exercise. You're gonna write down everything that you want on your day of: DJ, photo, video, photo booth, coordination, etc. From there, I want you to rank in importance in separate rooms, and then come back, compare your list of importance. Whatever's at the bottom, whatever's the least important, do not, or in my opinion, I would talk to your partner and say, hey, maybe we shouldn't allocate another $1,000 in the photo booth if it's something that's not important to us. Let's put that $1,000 towards a photographer that we really want instead of getting this budget photographer, because that leads to lifelong regret. Okay, quick analogy. Say that you go to buy a car and the car is more expensive than you initially thought. Say that you only wanted to spend no more than $35,000. That's your budget. You've talked about it with your partner. $35,000, but right now it's $36,500. You talk to the dealership, you talk to the salesperson, and they say this is the best we can do. It's in a crazy demand. Do you want the car or not? And you think to yourself and you say, hey, I'm going to be driving this car for, let's say, 5 to 10 years. I'm going to be driving it to work every single day. I'm going to be enjoying the vehicle. And you end up buying the vehicle. So you end up spending, let's say, $1,500 more in this example. Is that $1,500 worth you enjoying this vehicle every single day? You feeling good about yourself, being happy in the car. Maybe you have a heated steering wheel for the first time. Maybe you have heated seats. This is just a quick analogy that goes back to the photographer. Don't be the person that saves the, let's say, $1,000 or $1,500 and absolutely regrets the photos that they get back. So maybe that helps, maybe it doesn't. To me, I would be the person to spend the money, of course, and I feel that money can always be made. And I know that maybe sounds cliche, but money can always be made. But if this is the biggest day of your life, if to many your wedding day is considered the biggest day of your life, then I highly recommend investing in this day like it is, if that makes sense. And I think when you start to think about it in terms of 20 years from now, if we're looking back at these photos, 30 years from now, 40 years from now, even when we're gone, these photos will still be here in some capacity. Do we want them to be the photos that we had always dreamed of, or do we want them to be just they're okay? All right, we made it to the end of the video. Once again, my name is Diallo from Detroit. If you want to sub, leave a comment, send me an email, air hug, much love. Thank you so much for the support. I'm just a small business trying to grow. Have a great day. Till next time.